Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us again for our second part of 3 parts for Strategize My Life Month. I'm Michelle.
I'm Christy.
And we're going to talk about how to create best strategies that can work for you. So in the last webinar, we talked about strategy groups. We're going to sort of do a little bit of a review about that, but we didn't really get into actual strategies. So today, our emphasis and our focus is on creating strategies and what they look like when you're inside of the Strategize My Life app. So welcome, everybody. Thank you so much. We have a little poll. We're just curious of those of you that are signed in at this point. How many of you guys are using Strategize My Life? So it's a simple poll. If you just scroll down a little bit below where Christy and I are on your screen, maybe you'll see a poll option. We would appreciate you just answering that question as we move on. So this is, again, November Strategize My Life Month. We're really excited. We have our webinar series that happens every Tuesday. So today is the second of our 3 webinars. Next week, we're going to talk about finding the right strategy in a pickle. And again, we kind of came up with that name on purpose. The idea is so often when we need strategies, we don't have them. And so we want Strategize My Life to be your go-to place to find strategies when you really need them. We have some great interviews this week with Dr. Penny Trainer from the UK and Dr. Julia Balesi from the UK. Really, really great interviews that we did and Q&As. One thing that I will mention, you'll notice that we have an outtake that we've identified. What those outtakes are, they're not bloopers, so we got rid of all the bloopers, but the outtakes are really just an opportunity where we finished, they finished answering a question, and then either Lisa or Christy or I kind of expanded on it, and we had a little bit more discussion about that particular thing. So those are what we're calling outtakes. So we hope that you'll spend a few minutes with those as well. I think there's some really great stuff from our Q&A this week. Also, we wanted to make sure that you check our blogs every Monday. We're posting out some new blogs. There's some great ones coming up with some strategies on COVID and the holiday season. One of our working group members, Yashard, wrote a great blog post for this week. And we've got a special guest blogger from the UK, Anne Ricketts, has created a couple blogs for us this month as well. So we're very excited about our blog posts. And then finally, again, Laura is our social media extraordinaire. And so she is posting a lot of different social media things for us this month. So please share and forward and do whatever we do with social media and all that. We would love to get more people involved in our webinar series.
Michelle, before I share and talk a little bit more about this, could you make this screen bigger?
Sure, I could do that. There you go.
Thank you. This week, I'm going to be sharing my insights of how adding information to strategies in the Strategize My Life tool will help you remember. So, as you probably remember, last week we covered problems that you might be struggling with, shown here on the screen in brown boxes. What is a strategy? I can't remember strategies. I need to find a strategy that works. Am I using strategies? Do I use the same strategy all the time? You might be like me, needing help to remember who, what, where, when, why, how you use strategies. For instance, who should I be using strategies with? Or what strategy should I be using? Maybe where should I be using strategies? When should I be using strategies? Why should I be using strategies? And how should I be using a strategy? This week, in one of our interview videos that Michelle had mentioned earlier with Julia Balesi, she used an example of an earthquake as an analogy of what a memory is like after brain injury. When an earthquake happens, roads and bridges get damaged, and afterwards, cars have to maneuver through detours to get from one point to another. It takes more time to get to destinations. It takes time to remember and get comfortable with using new and different pathways. people have to use strategies to get from one place to another, like signs, maps, GPS. It can be frustrating and taxing to have to do something new and different. Just like that, after a brain injury, the pathways for information get damaged, just like roads, information also has to get rerouted. It can be frustrating, it can be taxing, it can be extremely hard to try to remember information. So, using Strategize My Life as a tool to help you remember when or why or how to use strategy will lessen the frustration and cognitive overload or fatigue of trying to remember information about a strategy. Next slide.
Okay, well, very well done. That was awesome. I love the fact that you incorporated the who, what, where, when, why, and how, Christy. So bravo, well done. And now you have your next slide.
Strategize My Life can help you learn to understand the importance of adding notes as to regarding the who, when, where, why, how. Also, you're going to learn that the importance of rating a strategy and identifying strategies as a favorite, and learn to assign a strategy to strategy groups.
So let's do a quick review of what strategies are at this point. We have 3 different definitions here. You may have your own strategy definition, or maybe a rehab professional that you've worked with has a definition of strategies. But we basically think of them as workarounds or shortcuts to help you be more efficient and to achieve success when you're dealing with a lot of the ongoing challenges associated with brain injury in particular, or any other kinds of challenges that you might be dealing with. Dr. Trainer indicated strategies were anything that will help you complete certain tasks or organize yourself in such a way to make it that you're going to be more successful in a task that you're doing. And then finally, Dr. Balesi identified strategies as things that you can do for yourself to help you cope better with the demands of everyday life. They are finding new ways of dealing with problems that might look a little bit different compared to how you have dealt with those problems before. And I think that this is really important because one of the things that we know is that we all use strategies, not just individuals with brain injury or cognitive challenges. Every single one of us use challenges or uses strategies throughout the day. We just don't always recognize them as that. So I think that this is very helpful. And I do agree with Christy. I think when Dr. Balesi used the earthquake analogy, I think that that was very helpful. And just that concept of having to reroute in order to get to where you're going is a really important concept.
Feel free to, in the chat, put a definition of what you think a strategy might be like. That would be great. Last week, we talked about strategy groups. This week, we're going to add strategies to those groups. For example, here in this screen, I have a strategy group titled Housework. And in that strategy group, I have strategy listed for cleaning. Some here are for the bathroom. When I'm cleaning the bathroom, use different rags for different surfaces. Mark cleaning solution with a list of uses. Gather all their cleaning supplies before I start.
The other side of the page is actually showing some cognitive categories. So I chose note taking as the category to kind of address the strategy group. And here's just some of the strategies that you could put down as it relates to note taking. One very common strategy is just to highlight text. Another one, don't worry about formatting notes until you're actually done taking the notes. Sometimes formatting can distract you, and we can end up perseverating on what the notes look like rather than the quality of the notes. Another strategy is to put notes in your own words rather than just repeating what the author said or what someone said. Another strategy, review notes with others. For instance, review your notes with a doctor, possibly before you leave his office or her office. And then another strategy might be to ask the question, what's my purpose?
Michelle, Pam has a question. Can
Oh,
pictures be added to strategies like in the direction where you can snap pictures from landmarks?
yeah, so we do have in Strategize My Life, If you have it set up with the most options in it, you should be able to add a picture to a particular strategy. This would be something that should be in the training. But if you go into the strategy, at the very bottom is going to be photos. And so you can actually turn that on, and that will allow you to actually take pictures or to pull pictures in from your photo area. Now, one thing that I will mention as it relates to this is we provide you with, I think, 15 pictures that you can use, or 15 pictures that you can accumulate, I guess. One of the things that we deal with pictures is that they take up a lot of space on the server. Excuse me. And so if you need more pictures, you can purchase space. This is one of the in-app purchases. You can purchase space, 25 pictures for 99 cents. So that's something that we have integrated. Wish we could provide it to everyone for free, but this is one of the areas that can be a little bit more costly when we start talking about storage space on apps that sync with the internet and stuff. So thank you for the question, Pam. Appreciate that.
Michelle, I have a question on that. Is that in the updated version of the suite?
The adding of the pictures?
Yes.
Yeah, it's in one of the later versions of the suite, but there's a setting that you have to turn on in order to make pictures available. So that's definitely in the online training. And if you'd like, if we have some time at the end of either this webinar or the final webinar for the month, I'd be happy to show you how to do that.
So as we start beginning to show you more of what the app looks like, for those of you that are using the Best Suite, feel free to turn your device on and follow along as we begin to share information about a few screens of Strategize My Life. As I mentioned earlier, having a strategy might not be enough. You might need to add information about when, where, how, why to use a strategy.
Christy, are you there?
Yeah, did you hear me?
Nope. All of a sudden you cut out.
Oh, no. Okay, so
You said maybe you just ended and I wasn't ready for you to end. You said you ended with strategies.
yeah, I said something as I mentioned earlier, having a strategy might not be enough. You might need to add information about where, when, how to use a strategy.
Okay, perfect. Sorry about that. That was my mistake. What we have here is our strategy screen. If you look at the first image on the left, it says strategies up at the top. And we talked last week about that idea of having some strategy groups. Well, what we've done here is we've added a note-taking strategy group that's indicated just underneath the word strategies. And that helps us kind of orient to the fact that we're now in a note-taking group. The strategies are listed just below that. You'll see it says highlight text and color code similar things. Don't worry about formatting. Review notes before moving from to something else. These are all examples, again, of strategies. And this is what it's going to look like within the Strategize My Life tool. If you were to tap on any one of these strategies, it's going to open up the screen that you see to the right, which is the strategy summary screen. And right now we don't have anything because all we've done is a quick add of the strategy title. We haven't actually added any details yet. So we wanted to give you an idea of what this screen looks like. This is a summary screen. So this is where we're going to go to get some of the details once we've had the opportunity to add them into the app or into the tool. This is our notes screen. And when you go in and you start editing the details of the strategy, the first field that you're going to see is the notes screen. And this is where Christy was talking about earlier, where you can put sort of the who and the what and the why and the how and answer all those questions. You can take as many notes really as you want in this particular section. You'll notice here for the strategy of review notes before moving to something else, I've written a couple things here. Read over my notes with others, like doctors or support people on phone, to make sure I understood correctly. And then I have down, make sure I include the date and the time of the person, and underneath that it says that I spoke with. So these are just some notes. If I was going to use this strategy and I opened up the summary screen, I'd be able to see some of these details that are important to me.
When thinking of a strategy or looking for a strategy, adding a strategy to a task can be overwhelming. To find a strategy that you think would be quite useful, so we have a helpful tool.
In this case, we're showing our favorites field. So you see that it's highlighted there, and it's simply a yes or a no. If you believe this strategy is going to be one of your favorites, meaning you want to be able to find it very quickly, it's something that you use frequently, etc., then you would flip the switch here and just tap where it says yes. You'll notice in the image on the right, it has a little thumbs up. That indicates on that main strategy screen, strategy group screen, that this particular strategy is one of your favorites. So that's how we indicate to you that this has been selected as a favorite. It'll also show up in a separate tab at the bottom of the main screen. We've created what we call the favorites tab. And so if you really want to just see all your favorites, regardless of which strategy group they might come from, you can actually just click on that favorites tab, and that will give you a list of all those images or all those strategies that are listed. And you guys there? Can you hear me? I just had a
Yes.
technical glitch. Okay. This is our ranking field. And ranking is really rating the effectiveness of a particular strategy. You'll see here on the right, we've identified that we've given this a 5-star ranking. This means that this strategy really works. It's pretty reliable. It's something that we want to hold on to. You can prioritize or sort your strategies based on number of stars. So you can start with 5 stars, or you can start with your 1-star strategies. We always recommend that you have your 5-star strategies at the top of the screen so that they're easy to see. We also don't recommend, if you think about this, there's different approaches to this. One approach would be, obviously, if something really works for you, to give that a 5-star. That kind of makes sense. If something doesn't work for you, it's not an effective strategy for you, we suggest that you give it a 1-star or a 2-star perhaps. If you haven't tried the strategy yet, we actually recommend that you don't rate it until you've had an opportunity to try it out, maybe a time or 2 or 3 times, until you really get a sense of how this strategy is going to work for you. Now, if you happen to rate it one way and then you decide, oh, that's not, it's either not as effective or it's more effective for me, all you have to do is tap on a different star, and that will clear out the extra stars. So here I have 5. If I were to tap on the 2nd star, it would actually get rid of the other 3 stars and just show me 2 stars illuminated. And there's one little trick that I will mention here. If you rate something and then you decide that you don't want to have it rated, you can hit the 1 star twice, and that'll actually clear that star for you. It's a hidden little thing there, but I wanted to make sure that I mentioned it.
I want to add to ranking strategies. Sometimes people will think that, oh, you know what, this strategy doesn't work for me anymore, and I'm going to delete it. They might want to delete it. And then they keep repeating the same strategy over and over and over, and it's not working. It's a really good idea to not get rid of the strategies that you've put there. And it's even a good idea to put in strategies that you think that you're using or that you should be using, and have them there but ranked low, so you remember not to be using that specific strategy.
Yeah, that's great. And I know that in one of the videos for this week, we had a discussion about this. This is maybe in the outtake, actually, with Dr. Trainer. Lisa and you, Christy, were talking about 2 slightly different approaches and of how you handle strategies that maybe don't work for you. And I think it's really important to watch that video, because there isn't a right or wrong answer in how to handle this. It's what makes the most sense to you. And we've tried to design the best suite and all the tools within the suite to be as flexible as possible. And so if one person wants to use some aspect of Strategize My Life in one way and someone else uses it differently, we think that's actually really great. I see that Pam says that static, and then I'm assuming no sound. Are you guys good? Can you hear us or not? Okay, so you can hear us. Good. Just wanted to make sure. Okay, good. It came back. Thanks, Pam.
So tags are helpful because you're not always going to create a strategy group for every topic. For instance, you might remember last week I told you I have a strategy group titled Emergencies. But there are different kinds of emergencies. So I don't have a bunch of different emergency strategy groups. Instead, I use tags for different situations that will need emergency strategies. For example, some of my emergency tags would be earthquakes, car accidents, fire, getting physically hurt, helping my elderly parents, or my pet horse.
Yeah, that's a great example of, a way of sort of secondarily categorizing strategies that you have. And again, we're trying to make the Strategize My Life tool, as well as all of the tools within the best suite, as flexible as possible. So I think some of the examples that Christy just gave us are really great. The example that I have here indicates that this particular strategy, which relates to note-taking, it's in our note-taking strategy group, could relate to medical appointments, it could relate to doctors, it could relate to support, technical support calls, etc. And the idea is that if you don't remember where you put a strategy or which category it was that you placed it originally, what you can do is use our search tool. You could just type in support or technical, and it would bring up all the strategies that you assigned that tag to. And I think that that is, again, a secondary way of organizing information, but can be very, very helpful. The last thing here is the assigned strategy groups. And this is really important because this particular section here really helps us identify and develop the concept of generalization. One of the things that I mentioned in our first webinar for Strategize My Life Month was the concept of making cognitive connections, to really be thinking about the cognitive skills that are being used and are being developed and hopefully improved as a result of, in our case, using the best suite. In this case, we can see that note-taking in this particular strategy that we've identified is actually quite effective for note-taking in particular, but it may also, you may also want to assign this particular strategy to a separate group that might be all the different strategies that you have specifically designed for a doctor's appointment. So there's different ways that you can incorporate this. If you assign a particular strategy to multiple groups, it's actually going to show up in each group. That can be very helpful. It's not a copy of it. It's basically showing up in each group so that it's uniquely assigned. And I think that that's important. I'm going to take this moment now to answer, go back to Pam's question from just a little while ago. The photos, being able to add pictures to this is actually a setting that you can set in the app itself. So if you go into the Best Suite app itself and you go into the general settings, I'm going to go ahead and pull myself back up on the screen here. If you go into the general settings of the app from the home screen, you can actually go to the Simplify Options area. And you'll see that there's 3 different levels. We have a default level, we have a level 2 and a level 3. With each level, we add more features. So one of the things that we wanted to do was we wanted to provide a very customized version, if you will, of the best suite. We wanted to just give you the minimum number of fields available so that it wouldn't be too overwhelming when you first get started. And then as you get more comfortable, you can begin to add more and more fields to it. So Pam, the reason I mention this now is because if you go in and you tap on level 3, you'll go just below where this says assign strategy groups, and you'll see there's a photos option that you can incorporate. And that's where you're going to go in, and you can either take a photo, or you can also incorporate a photo that's already within your photos area. So I hope that that's helpful. You can take a minute if you want and see if you can find that setting. And if you have any questions, we're happy to answer them. We're going to end with the strategy summary screen here. And basically, this is the same summary screen that we started with, only this summary screen actually has the information that we've entered. And so you have a couple of different options here. If you think just having the word or the strategy review notes before moving to something else is sufficient enough for you, and you don't need any other details, then you may not need to open up the strategy summary screen. You may just be able to see that on the strategy list, and that in and of itself will be enough in order for you to know how to use the strategy. However, if you need a little bit more support, if you need a quick reminder of what that strategy was, and as Christy mentioned earlier, the who, what, where, when, why, and how aspects of the strategy, then open up the strategy screen. Just tap the strategy, it'll open up this screen, and this will give you all the details of that particular strategy. There's no need at this point to actually go in and edit anything unless you want to or you need to.
As we mentioned the last week, we're encouraging people to participate in a campaign during the month of November to share strategies for the holidays and how to cope with COVID. This week, we added some more strategies to our list on our website. Here are just a few. Thank you. I think it was Pam last week. You suggested using earplugs when, and we added going into noisy environments. And another one we added, somebody added, be realistic about what you can and cannot do for the holidays, and it's okay to say no to events.
When you look at the COVID area, here's a couple of different strategies that you might want to incorporate. Keep in touch with supportive people, even from a distance. So I don't know if you know, but you can certainly get a Zoom account. You can get a free Zoom account and can communicate and kind of see people for up to 40 minutes without having to pay anything. And that's really an important technique and strategy that you can use. If you have iPhones, you may be doing FaceTime with people or something like that. But we really encourage you to keep in touch and don't isolate during this time where it's actually very easy to isolate. A second strategy here is to engage in a pleasant activity or a hobby to give yourself a positive lift. Really identify, and you could put this in Strategize My Life, right? What are some of the activities that I really enjoy? You could put this in Strategize My Life. You could also put it in one of the apps one of the tools that we have within the app that is currently called My Checklist. And next month, we're going to be doing our monthly focus, and we're changing the name to Cue My List. So that's something else that you can learn about in the next month, and it's a great place to put individual list items. So again, November, Strategize My Life month. What are some of the steps that you can take? Well, please try and get your friends and family to register for the Strategize My Life webinar series. If you're here, you're already registered, and so we appreciate that, and you're registered for all the webinars for the whole month. Also, share your strategies to help deal with the holiday season during COVID. On our Strategize My Life month page, if you scroll towards the bottom, there's actually a link that you can click on. If you click on that and provide us, there's a form there that you can fill out. If you would share some of your strategies, we'd love to share them with others. And I'm sure some of the things that you're using will absolutely help others. So we encourage you to do that. And then we also wanted to announce the winner is. We mentioned that we're doing kind of a contest over the course of the month. And so Nikki, who is currently on this webinar, you are going to get a free redeem code for the best suite. I don't know if you're using the best suite right now. If you are, you can always share that redeem code with somebody else. So congratulations, Nikki. Thank you so much for joining us. And Chrissy, did you want to announce the other winner?
I think Pam, we're going to give you the award for helping and suggesting the earplug suggestion for our holiday share of strategies for the holidays. And so you'll, again, it, great idea to give if you use Strategize My Life and you win uh, the app, give it to a friend for the holidays. And again, it would be a great idea to also think and remember of somebody that might benefit. We know that we've created the best suite for people with brain injuries and cognitive um, challenges, but we get all the time when we do presentations or we're at conferences and we show people the suite, they always tell us, "Oh my gosh, I could use this and I don't have any cognitive issues or brain injuries." So again, you could give this to anybody. Go ahead and visit our website at bestconnections.org, and please, there's quite a few um, great question and answer videos with Penny Trainer and Dr. Julia Balesi. They're updated weekly, and as I mentioned, there were a few that in our in our webinar, we mentioned a few ideas that Julia shared with us. Check out our social media posts and YouTube videos at bestbrain.org and join us next Tuesday.
Very good. And don't forget to try our online training for Strategize My Life. You can get to it by going to our main website, bestconnections.org. And remember, those trainings are really about the mechanics of using the Best Suite. And what we're trying to do with the webinars is we're trying to actually provide you with some additional information. And Christy, I put us back on, sorry, right as you were getting a drink. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
So with the mechanics of the app, of the tool, so that you can really learn how to use it and what to punch and that kind of thing. Our webinars are really designed to give you a little bit more background and to kind of help you understand why we did some of the things that we did within the Best Suite, in particular in this month, Strategize My Life. And Jean shared this comment with us. I like being able to see all my strategy information on the strategy screen. And I think that that's a really interesting one, again, based on what we were talking about earlier, that strategy screen and strategy summary, depending on how much information you need, you've got within one click, you can see exactly what you're looking for. So thank you, Jean, for incorporating that for us. And it's going to be time to go. If you have any questions, please put them in the question area, or you can put them in the chat. But we would love to answer any questions. I think I see one question here. Let me check it out. Oh, that was Pam's question about, can you add pictures? So thank you so much. Next week, again, we'll be talking about finding the right strategy in a pickle. And that's going to talk a little bit more about how to use our search feature and a few other little things. So we hope that you're enjoying the webinars. Please, again, share the information with others. We would love to incorporate more and more people. And we'll be introducing next week, we'll do a brief interview or a brief overview of what the month of December is going to look like as it relates to BEST and what our feature tool is going to be for December. So we're very excited about all of this. And thank you again, Nikki and Pam. So we will be getting those redeem codes out to you. You'll hear from me sometime later on today, and I'll make sure that you get those redeem codes with some instruction. So thanks again, everybody. Take care. Have a great week, and we'll hope to see you next Tuesday.
I just want to add, please feel free to go on our website and add to our list for strategies for the holidays and for COVID. Help continue and open up the conversation about these specific areas. It will be very helpful to other people.
That's great. And remember, that is on our Strategize My Life Month page. It's towards the bottom. You'll see a reference to it, and there's a link that you can click on That'll open up the form, and then there's another link that will take you to a page that is going to have all the strategies that we accumulate over the course of the month. So we're hoping, again, that we can help each other during some of these difficult times. So thanks again, everybody. We will see you next Tuesday. Take care. Bye.